Martin Fulcher. I'm a Grosilian, I'm from Grosile, and I'm into product development. As you can see, most of what you can see that is quite visible is things that, as a matter of fact, it's a project I started just a couple of weeks ago. It takes about a day to put it together and a day actually to do the finishing on it. And in most cases, it all depends on how many of the machines that I use. If I use 2 or 3 machines, I can do a couple products per day. The tourist industry is very important because of the fact that I'm located in the center of in fact, most of the hotels up north. As one clearly knows that Grosile has most of the hotel rooms in St. Lucia, the majority of it. And Grosile sits in the center of the tourist industry. And more so, Grosile is the center of entertainment in St. Lucia. Friday night has done a lot in promoting the tourism industry. And jazz center to Grosile, Borsiju cricket field. So Grosile, I'm in the center of the action. In the 60s, we had what you call ger, which is, we call it jar. Before we had electricity and refrigerators, we used to collect that water in that ger, which is a big clay pot, and that water used to be as cool as ice water. But since we have revolutionized we have modernized and get into new technologies, a lot of the past has gone into. As a matter of fact, I remember clearly that the French people came here and gave us offer we couldn't refuse and bought every jar we had in Grosile. My grandmother was one of the last to sell hers, and they gave her an offer she couldn't refuse. Almost $600 more than the normal price. This here is an original clay pot. Not a pot, but something that used to be for domestic use. Where we used to take the water from the big jar, which is the jar, we call it in English jar. But in French you call it ger. And we used to put it inside this. And in your home, you would normally take the water from there, for a scoop, and put it in a glass. And that used to be ice, almost, well, I call it ice cold, but almost like something from a cooler. Because at the time, old people used to tell you, in fact, my grandmother used to tell you, sous sortige with cricket, or if you just come in from the direct sun, don't drink it, it's too cold. But now, we in modern times, we drink ice cold things, But people were so conscious of making sure that you don't drink anything that is extra cold. And at the time, before we had electricity, that's where they used to get the cool water from. And this thing here, based on what I learned from my grandmother, who died at the age of 97 years, it was from her mother, and her mother told her it was from her great-grandmother. So this thing must be about 160 years old.
My name is Emma Hippolyte. I am the parliamentary representative for Grosile, and I am the Minister of Commerce, Business Development, Investment and Consumer Affairs. I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to St. Lucia and to thank you for choosing us.
you.